children. In weeks, he will be leaving on his next deployment, a 6-month stint as a communications officer aboard the frigate USS Elrod. Corey wants to spend every precious second with them, as he knows how much it hurts not to see their smiling faces.
He was always with the kids. He was a terrific dad. He's always taking them here, taking them there, always spending time with them.
Tonight is a special night. After putting the kids to sleep, Corey and Katerina, known to many as Kat, sit down to share a romantic meal. Precious time together, both have been looking forward to all day.
To us.
To us.
Married for 8 years, the two first met at a bar, started dating, and before long, she was pregnant. Learning the news, the two rushed off to the courthouse to wed. After dinner, Kat asks her husband for a small favor in return for her hard efforts in the kitchen.
You do me a favor?
What?
You use my card and go to the ATM.
Yep.
And get some money for the kids' lunches.
All right, I can do it.
Yeah, done?
Yep. Get back in a minute.
It's 11 p.m. Their bank is just 2.5 miles away in a safe commercial neighborhood. But Kat still worries about her husband and calls as he drives to remind him to take care. Her eccentric ways are well known.
Hey, I just was calling because, well, it's late.
She was kind of nervous, high-strung, flighty. She would get upset at things rather easily.
I don't want anything to happen to you.
I'll be fine, I promise.
Okay. Love you.
See you in a little while. All right, love you, bye.
As Corey pulls up, Kat's concern for her husband's safety proves all too real.
Hey, come on, man. Come on, man.
Shut up. Just listen to me. I want you to try.
All right, just don't kill me.
Just
All right,
try.
all right.
Try, okay?
All right.
That's all I need you to do. Just try.
It's now 11:30. Corey should have returned with the cash 15 minutes ago. Kat keeps trying his cell phone, but he's not answering.
You haven't picked up in a while, and I just wanted to know if everything's okay. And if you're coming home soon, so call me when you get this. Okay. Love you, bye.
She calls the police to ask if there have been any traffic accidents. There haven't been.
Yes, one, and...
She phones his ship, but the
Left
crew
at 11,
hasn't seen him.
He hasn't shown up yet, and
She checks local hospitals.
Hi, I just... He hasn't come back
Nothing.
yet. His name's Corey Voss. He's,
No one has seen or heard from Corey.
Hey, Mom.
By 3 a.m., she wakes her mother, who offers to help try and find him.
I just didn't know who to call, so I guess if he calls you, just will you let me know where he is and that he's okay? Okay. I love you. Bye.
Her mother drives around the streets looking for his car. At 6 a.m., Kat calls police to raise the alarm.
Hi, I was calling to report a missing person.
Katerina Voss called Newport News Police to report her husband missing. She reported to the officer that at about 11 p.m. the night before, he came to this ATM and attempted to withdraw money, and she hadn't heard from him or seen him since.
Police send an officer to her home to get more details.
Take me through it one more time.
Well, I just told him to go get lunch money for the kids. And he left around 11.
Meanwhile, another call comes in to 911 from an office building near the ATM with a report of a suspicious vehicle. A pickup truck appears to be abandoned in the parking lot. And what's inside is shocking.
100%.
It looks like a robbery gone bad.
Also have a major crimes committed 1021.
The officer talking to Kat overhears on the police radio that a body has been found, but doesn't say anything to alarm her, and promises to return with an update later. Homicide detectives are soon at the crime scene.
The scene was taped off, a crime scene had been established, and of course the victim's vehicle was parked where that silver van is now. Initially you would think that it was a robbery. That would be the very first thought. Then we learned that he was reported as a missing person by his wife. So within an hour we were down speaking with the wife to gather more facts about why she was reporting him missing. Mrs. Voss, I'm Detective Riley with the police department. Could you please tell me a little bit about why you filed that report?
Well,
She describes how Corey drove out to the ATM around 11 p.m. to get school lunch money.
he's 30 years old.
She also indicated that she talked to him a couple of times by telephone on the way to the ATM, asking him to make sure that he was safe, asked him if his door was locked.
In the next room, another officer is speaking with Kat's mother, and in an effort to confirm the identity of the victim, he shows her a crime scene photo.
She became hysterical like her mother, crying and screaming, and she knelt down on the floor and appeared as if she was going to hyperventilate.
News of the murder stuns and frightens the tight-knit Navy community.
When people picked up the paper the next day and read the headlines, of course they're thinking, what a tragic story. I mean, here's a young Navy ensign, he has a wife, he has 2 young children, and he's killed at gunpoint.
A story made all the more tragic by the seemingly random brutality of Corey's murder. But when police get a closer look at his body, they question whether this was a simple robbery gone terribly wrong.
And where someone's shot as a result of a robbery or a robbery gone bad, you may see 1 or 2 shots because they're trying to separate themselves and get away. When you see 5 shots, it automatically means that someone had to stand there just a little bit longer, and it's usually a crime of passion or something personal.
Investigators get their first major lead. A bank security camera shows unsuspecting Corey stretching to use the ATM as his likely killer moves in from behind. In April 2007, investigators in Newport News, Virginia, are trying to figure out who would want to kill young father Corey Voss. The Navy ensign was shot to death after visiting an ATM late at night in an area not noted for violent crime. Security camera images captured at the bank revealed he was unsuccessfully trying to retrieve money from a new account opened by his wife, Kat. An unknown man climbs into the passenger seat, but frustratingly, he's largely obscured.
We could see the perpetrator get into the vehicle, but the image wasn't good enough to really tell anything about him.
Moments later, the vehicle drives off. 7 minutes after that, Corey is back, trying but failing once more to obtain cash. Detectives are convinced he's got a gun pointed at him the whole time. He drives away and is never seen alive again. Police call on the best technology available to see if they can get better images.
We attempted to have it improved. We sent the image to NASA and asked them for their help.
Corey's wife, Kat, informs detectives she asked him to get her $60. Surprisingly, bank officials reveal the card she gave him was for a new account that was almost empty.
Opened up with $5 and that was it. And then he comes in and tries to pull out 60 and then 40 and then 20 and of course nothing's coming out. There's only $5.
Okay.
So.
All right, sir, can we get a copy of this, please?
Perhaps Kat simply gave Corey the wrong ATM card. Still, investigators decide to look into her background and the couple's relationship. They discover that Kat is larger than life. She was born Kathleen, but wanted something fancier.
It seems like she was trying to reinvent herself. She made up a name change from Kathleen to Katharina to make herself a little bit more exotic.
Definitely a drama queen. She was theatrical. That's the word for it. She was over the top all the time.
She's somebody who feels that she's special, she's unique, she's entitled. She likes excitement. She likes the newness of things. She likes to indulge her urges.
And that's nothing new. Back in high school, Kat had much more on her mind than studying. At 17, her steamy encounters are soon put on hold as she's pregnant. Kat marries her boyfriend and gives birth to a daughter. But her relationship hits early trouble because she has a new love, shopping till she drops.
Kathleen likes money. It does something to her. It was like a aphrodisiac of some sort, just made her manic. She just went wild when she got money.
She's somebody that feels as if she deserves this sort of exotic, lavish lifestyle. To Katharina Voss, money is like oxygen. It's probably the most important thing in the world to her, and it's what she is going to revolve every effort in her life around.
A wealthy relative leaves her $25,000 in trust, money she can spend as soon as she's 21.
The day she turned 21, came bursting in the house. I'm 21 today, and I went to my father's house and told him I wanted my money. And she said, I told him I don't care what it's invested in. If he doesn't have my money by 5 o'clock, I'm calling the police on him, and I'm just going to raise all kinds of hell. I want my money.
Kat gets what she wants and immediately goes shopping.
She hit that department store like a rat in a cheese factory. Bug-eyed, breathing heavily. She was just manic.
Hi, how are you today?
She is somebody with very, very little self-discipline.
In 6 weeks, she was broke. I said something about her money, and she said it's gone.
You could give Katharina Voss $1 million. It would be gone in 6 months.
After 5 years of financial chaos, her husband has finally had enough and divorces her. She's 22 and wastes no time going on the prowl for a new man, while her parents raise her daughter.
Cat, okay. Yeah. Innocent, and I'm not always innocent.
Hitting the local bar scene, she meets and targets Corey Voss to be her future husband and cash machine. Investigators discover Corey had troubles of his own in his teenage years, dropping out of high school and falling in with the wrong crowd.
He worried me sick. He really did. I kept saying, you know, if he just gets to be 18, he'll be fine. A lot of his friends got into drugs and gangs and went to jail.
But by 1995, Corey went back to school and the following year enlisted in the Navy. That's when everything in his life changed for the better.
Everybody he worked with and worked for, you know, he was the go-to guy. He knew his job really well. He was really proud, and everybody loved to work with him.
Corey finds his calling. The Navy sends him to train as an officer.
He was just confident. He knew what he wanted. He knew where he was going. He had a plan. It's like he went away a boy and he came back a man.
Having also found love, Corey feels his life is complete. It seems he's tamed the wild young woman.
Love you.
But things aren't as they appear.
Katharina was the one that controlled the relationship in probably every way. She was demanding, she was controlling. She certainly could play any role. She could be seductive, she could be loving, she could be charming on the surface. I'm sure she made him feel that she loved him. It probably didn't take her long at all to determine she could basically get Corey to do anything that she wanted him to do.
When Kat first meets Corey's mom, she's determined to impress her.
Hey, Mom. It's Katharina.
Nice.
You guys go ahead and do your thing. I'm going to be back here.
So tell me a little about yourself. Very friendly, very nice. I liked her.
Kat is both charming and exotic. She tells Corey's mother about an incredible family history.
She was from the Ukraine. She was raised by her dad. Her mother was American. She grew up in the Ukraine without her mother because her mother went back to the States.
It's a good country. I really like it. It's a lot different than, the Ukraine.
It's all a bizarre lie. Kat was raised by her mother in Newport News and has never even visited that part of the world.
She loved this sort of unique, special, exotic feel that she just had an incredible urge for, to the point of pathologically lying to people. She had to reinvent herself. She lied to everybody about everything.
Corey is in love, and the couple soon marries. They have 2 children, a boy and a girl. Corey is often away at sea for months at a time. Kat's not the sort to sit around bored and is still determined to go out and party.
She loved to meet new people. She loved to be the center of attention. She was a lot of fun.
Hey, bartender.
She would pay for all my drinks. She would, give big tips at the bars, and it was almost like you were with a celebrity when you were out with her.
The problem is, she doesn't have a celebrity's bank account. And when Corey returns from deployment, the bills are waiting for him to pay. He's often forced to borrow money from his parents to make ends meet.
I think one of the most common words used with her was materialistic. She demanded the best cars, and she wanted jewelry, she wanted a big house. Everything had to be the best. Corey did everything that he could in an attempt to satisfy her.
A week after the murder, no one is thinking of money, as Corey Voss is laid to rest. His family's grief is made only worse when they learn he suffered a slow, painful death.
He would have been paralyzed from the waist down, and he was probably aware that he was paralyzed. He would have been unable to move to try to assist himself or get out of the vehicle. It was a pretty horrifying and terrible death. He sat there and slowly bled to death for a few minutes.
The murder investigation takes a dramatic and sudden turn.
Crime Line received a telephone call from a female caller who indicated they believed that Kat may have had something to do with it, and that we needed to look a little bit further into to her and into a guy named Michael Draven.
Just who is Michael Draven? What's his connection to Kat? And why would someone think he brutally murdered her husband? In April of 2007, police are digging deep into the secret life of Kat Voss, the wife of a Navy ensign shot to death while trying to get money at an ATM in Newport News, Virginia.
Come on, man, don't shoot me.
They've discovered that she enjoyed spending her husband's money lavishly. Now, an anonymous caller tips them off about a steamy affair and the man she thinks killed Corey Voss. We can now reveal it's the friend she likes to party with, Ashley Doyle.
I said, I'm calling about the Voss case, about Corey Voss, and I know who did it.
She hears about Corey's murder from a friend.
She said, turn on your news, you have to see this. And there was Corey's little truck that he drove. And they were saying that they'd found a body in it. And I watched intently and realized that it was Corey that they had found. And I instantly knew that she had something to do with it.
Ashley agrees to meet with detectives and begins telling them about Kat's secret life.
She would want us to bring home guys, and we'd go back to her house and hang out. I didn't always want to sleep with a guy, but she did, and she would.
Kat was insatiable, cruising the bars constantly and picking up men and women every chance she got. She makes sure her young children don't cramp her style.
She would sometimes give the kids Benadryl to get them to sleep so that she could get out of the house and go out and party.
She certainly is somebody who will never, ever be faithful in a relationship. She just doesn't have what it takes. Plus, she loves excitement, and she loves the newness of relationships.
Kat Voss meets Michael Draven 6 months before Corey's murder.
So what do you do?
Film director and photography, that sort of thing.
What kind of films do you do?
I write my own movies.
I don't really know how to play pool. Can you help me?
Sure.
Like, teach me? Oh,
Of course.
like and then like this?
Yeah, why don't you...
Oh.
The initial attraction, I'm sure, for her is it's somebody else to prey upon. That is what drives her.
As soon as he tells her he's got plenty of money and is in the movie business, Kat makes sure she's irresistible.
Okay, we'll be right back.
She said that he lived in this big extravagant neighborhood in this big huge house, and he told her he was a very popular photographer.
But all is not what it seems.
He also has a fantasy life, but he's somebody who is incredibly insecure.
Investigators learn Michael Draven is an eccentric and flamboyant 27-year-old who lies as much about his life as Kat does about hers. His MySpace account says he is a movie producer and president of Red Snow Films.
I guess he was a dreamer. He put out there as if he was a movie producer, an actor, a writer, made lots of money, but in fact, he didn't hold a job. He didn't work anywhere. He lived with his mother and stepfather in a trailer and helped her occasionally deliver newspapers at night.
Draven has another way of making money. He rents himself out as a human guinea pig for medical research.
Quick, easy money. He doesn't have to put himself out. He doesn't have to go out and get a job that he probably won't be able to hold.
With Corey away at sea, the relationship between Michael and Kat intensifies. Michael even puts pictures of Kat and her children on his MySpace page, claiming they're his.
I'm not sure why Katerina was so interested in him. Once they got together, they were like glue. They were together a lot, and he was a really big part of her life after that.
Police have even more reason to be suspicious when they discover that Kat and Michael have a shared bank account at the same branch where Corey tried and failed to get money the night he's killed. Both Kat and Draven have solid alibis for the murder. Still not letting on that she's a suspect, detectives question Kat about her marriage.
We asked if there were any extramarital relationships either on the part of her or her husband. And she denied, said they had a wonderful marriage, everything was fine.
Convinced that Kat is lying, detectives persuade Ashley to go undercover and try to get her friend to admit that she was involved in Corey's murder.
We asked if she would be willing to wear a camera for us, and she agreed to do that.
I was just very, very, very nervous, very scared. I was thinking, what if she sees the wire? What am I going to do then? I had to psych myself up, put my game face on so that I didn't let her in on what was going on.
The camera is rolling as Ashley tries to coax a confession out of her friend.
Still waiting for the check and everything. And, it's been really hard.
I just thought, oh my God, she knows the camera's pointing at her.
There was some information gleaned from that, but there wasn't the confession that we all would have wanted. But there was information that we were able to use.
Kat Voss is soon back in the money.
Hopefully that will help you and your two children.
Yeah, hopefully it will.
You have my number. Good luck, Mrs. Voss.
The Navy hands her a death benefit payment for $100,000.
Yes.
Just 2 weeks after Corey's murder, Kat and her boyfriend take off on vacation. Always the drama queen, she has met her match in the equally theatrical Michael Draven. They dress to impress in new outlandish clothes and jewelry.
Excuse me, I am related to Dracula. And this is my wife, Katerina from Russia.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Hey, look out for Red Snow Pictures' new film coming next year.
Always networking.
They blow a small fortune on a luxurious suite. And just as she tore through the $25,000 she inherited on her 21st birthday, Kat keeps on spending.
And then over the course of the next 6 weeks, she spent $100,000.
Kat isn't worried. She's expecting $400,000 when Corey's life insurance pays out. Police begin to monitor Kat's every move. They believe money was the motive behind Corey's murder, but they can't prove it. And they receive more bad news when NASA is unable to improve the ATM surveillance video and identify the killer. Federal authorities join the case due to the suspicion that the prime motive for Corey's murder was to fraudulently obtain the life insurance money from the Navy.
Kat Voss realized that her husband Corey was literally worth more to her dead than alive. She realized there was a $500,000 payout she could get if he was out of the way.
Be careful. Love you.
This was the classic case of lust, envy, and greed.
The life insurance company is made fully aware that Corey's wife is under suspicion.
Before the insurance policy would pay out, they have to be sure that the family members are cleared. Of course, we wouldn't clear her. We asked that there be a hold placed on that money.
Months go by, and police still can't prove anything. Then, there's a break. News of an old arrest and confirmation that Kat was having a fling with Michael Draven while her husband was alive. Draven had been accused of beating up an ex-girlfriend.
We learned that Michael Draven had been locked up for 6 days here at the Newport News City Jail just a couple of months before the murder occurred. That sparked our interest because we knew that the phone calls here at the jail were recorded. So we retrieved those phone calls and began listening to them.
This call is subject to monitoring and recording.
Baby,
What?
I can almost feel you in here on top of me.
An ominous comment about Corey's future is discovered.
Well, there's one little factor that'll be taken care of very soon. Just to let you know. Don't say it on here because it's recorded.
What?
Corey? Well, I talked to your friend the other day. I talked to him for like an hour and a half.
And
I'm going to be taking care of it from here on.
just don't get yourself in trouble, okay? I will go and sell my soul to the devil just to get all the money that we need to where we can go and live our lives somewhere else.
Kat Voss further incriminates herself by revealing what she intends to do with the life insurance money, even though her husband is very much alive at the time.
We are going to be spending it. We are going to be going places. We're going to be doing things. I'm not going to just sit there and do nothing.
I know that.
I'm hooked up for life. You know, I get retirement.
Yeah, lucky
The rest
you.
of my life.
Lucky you.
Which means us.
Lucky you.
It means us.
I love you.
I love you too, honey.
Goodbye.
The assault charges against Draven are eventually dropped. But before he's released, detectives learn the potential name of the hitman.
Let me ask you this. You said that you and David was talking.
Uh-huh.
When is this supposed to go down?
I don't know. He wants my money.
More money?
Up front. So I don't have the money to give to him right now. And I told him that. I told him, very soon, and he was like, okay.
When we got court-authorized order to go look at Kat Voss's cell phone records. Sure enough, we saw a number of calls from her phone to a cell phone for somebody who lived in West Virginia by the name of David Runyon. And the police began connecting the dots.
Investigators discover David Runyon, like Michael Draven, undergoes experimental medical treatment for money. The two become instant friends when they meet at a medical clinic. Michael is fascinated when David tells him that he served in the Army, has been a corrections officer and a cop.
While he was in the Army, I believe he was a sharpshooter or a marksman, that he was real familiar and good with guns.
So you really think you can help me out with what we just talked about?
Yeah, I can do that. I've done that. You just let me know.
You've done that?
Yeah, plenty of times.
Great. Okay.
6 months since Corey Voss was killed, Kat is broke and still unable to collect Corey's life insurance. Michael Draven has moved in with her, but she doesn't let him cramp her lifestyle. He stays home and babysits her children while she goes out to play. Investigators decide they're going to try to make one of the suspects finally crack. They follow Michael to Kat's home, knowing that she's out shopping.
Michael, tell us a little more about the relationship between you and Kat.
I mean, we're just friends, just friends.
Well, I don't believe that. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to tell us a little bit more about that.
Detectives are convinced Kat Voss, her lover, Draven, and a third man, David Runyon, murdered her husband, Corey. Police are purposely putting pressure on Michael, letting him know that they are closing in on the truth.
We confronted him with a lot of the information that we knew, specifically the relationship between he and Kat. We even played some of the jail calls for him.
See if you recognize this voice.
I love you.
I love you too, honey.
Goodbye.
Why don't you tell us the truth, Michael?
He didn't know what to say. I mean, obviously he knew that he was had because that was his voice, and he and Kat had discussed their future, their marriage, the insurance policy.
I mean, we did have a sexual relationship.
If you were to evaluate the three people involved, Katerina Voss, Michael Draven, and David Runyon, if you were going to pick one of those three as the weak link, it would be Michael Draven. And so the police do a very, very good thing. They put the pressure on them. And Michael Draven, he is not going to handle it well. Michael Draven is the one that starts to collapse.
By listening in to their phone calls and watching their every move, police build a strong case.
Okay, if anybody asks, I was delivering papers
On a roof for my mom, okay?
Okay. Yeah. We hear the three on the phone creating alibis, beginning to compare stories, beginning to create stories, backstories, cover stories, knowing that the police may approach them, that the police are beginning to approach them.
December 11th. Police travel to West Virginia with a search warrant.
We've got a search warrant for your vehicle, and I'd like to talk to you a little further about the investigation that we're doing.
And after 8 months of searching, they find the hard evidence they need.
What'd you find?
Hampton Newport News map.
In handwritten notes on the back of that map were notations. It had a description of Corey's truck. It had front left hubcap missing, and it had a bunch of notations all describing the location of the murder.
Police arrest Runyon for Corey Voss's murder. He admits the map is his, but refuses to say anything else.
He said, I think I probably need to talk to an attorney. And I said, yeah, you probably need a couple of them.
The next day, police plan to arrest Draven. There is last-minute drama as a wiretap on his phone reveals a disturbing conversation.
We knew that he was walking around the city on his cell phone and had claimed that he was going to jump off of a bridge. So we began driving around trying to locate Michael Draven based on background noises and some GPS information on his phone.
I'm going to do it.
In December 2007, police in Newport News, Virginia, tracked down murder suspect Michael Draven as he's threatening to kill himself.
Michael, put the phone down. Put the phone down. It's over with. Put the phone down, Michael. You're under arrest. It's over with, Michael. Put the phone down. Now. Put it down now, Michael. Now. Come on, Michael. Do it now. Step down. Step down. He appeared as if he was just beaten by it all. Just mentally drained. And he even seemed a little bit relieved by it all, that it was over with. Michael, you've been arrested for the murder of Corey Voss. We would ask if you would be willing to call Kat. You know that she's the only one that hasn't been arrested yet, and she's going to be. Would you be willing to help us? Call her and ask her to come and pick you up or something.
Yeah, I can call her. I'm a good actor.
Okay.
Kat Voss soon arrives, desperate to try and stop him from revealing their wicked plan.
You're under arrest! Put your hands in the car!
Katerina definitely seemed towards the end like she knew that her game was coming to an end. She was just not her usual self.
8 months after Corey's death, all 3 suspects are finally in custody. Police hope one of them will start talking. They know to secure murder convictions, more details about the plot need to be revealed.
Kat, you understand that you're under arrest for the murder of your husband. She was totally shocked, just caught completely off guard by what had taken place. She said she wanted to stop it, but she didn't know how. And, we said, Kat, you were talking to him right there at the ATM machine.
Be careful.
You could have diverted and stopped this at any point, up and until Runyon got in the truck. You could have told him to just drive off, but you didn't do it. You let someone kill your husband for money.
The choice to kill Corey really was about Katerina Voss no longer wanting to wait for what it is she wanted. By killing Corey, she can collect the insurance benefits, and she can now have the money. For her, is more important than anything else in the world because it gives her the means to achieve the life she truly wants.
It was Michael's idea. I had nothing to do with it. It was Michael's idea. You can write that down.
In a plea deal to avoid a potential death sentence, Voss agrees to testify against Draven and Runyon. She receives 4 life sentences in federal prison for murdering her husband. But when it comes time to testify, prosecutors decide not to put her on the witness stand. Their case is rock solid, and the jury probably wouldn't believe a word she said.
The recorded phone calls from the jail before the murder, the recorded calls among the 3 defendants after the murder, setting up the cover stories, the emails, the motivation, the money. All of this evidence came together in a way that the jury found to be overwhelming evidence of the guilt of the 2 defendants.
Her boyfriend, Michael Draven, also receives life in federal prison.
Once Corey has been murdered, the usefulness of Michael Draven to Katerina is over. And that tells you the core of Katerina Voss. People are in her world for the sole purpose of being used in whatever way she needs to use them.
David Runyon's lawyer claims the case is circumstantial, with no witnesses or DNA evidence at the murder scene.
Yeah, I can do that. I've done that.
But both Voss and Draven confess that he agreed to kill Corey for a $20,000 fee.
Go back to the ATM and get me the money. All right, just don't shoot me.
As things turned out, the lovers only sent him a few $100s. Runyon is found guilty of murder and sent to death row.
He is a man that is very cold, very calculated. The type of personality that he has is this sort of hyper-masculine,